Everybody, and welcome to ESO Daily. I am your host, Mr. Craven. All right, guys. So, kind of interesting. I've been going through a lot of things today on the PTS. Now, I've been playing with a lot of stuff. So, this video is to probably... Okay, so let's get into a little history here. Prior to One Tamerial, one of the best configurations that everybody was more accustomed to was what we refer to as the 5-3-2 setup, which gives us like 5 primary, either crafted or drop set, 2 pieces of monster helm, and either a crafted or drop set of dual wields and your master or VMA weapons. So it's kind of interesting because with the changes implemented, there is a lot of things going on here. And I think after looking at things, I'm definitely thinking the double stack, as what we refer to after One Tamerial, is 2 sets stacked, right? You can stack up 2 sets and you can actually push out a lot of DPS because of the procs, right? We're aware that when you proc a set and you have one set that has a base amount, like something like Juliana's, which gives us a consistent, right, value, and then you have a proc set like Scathing Mage, you can proc out more damage, right? Because you're ineffectively causing the effect to stack on the switch out because the buff's applied from the proc. Now, though, I said in a video that Nirnholm's going to be a huge difference. And for Magicka, this is crazy. Yes, this is the case. Because I'm about to show you guys. So a lot of people wanted, when I did my original video, wanted to say, well, Nirnholm's not that much impact. Nirnholm's that much of impact. So what I got here is I'm going to show you a couple of things going on and how the spell damage is applied, right? So I have a 5-3-2 setup. I just didn't, whatever. I'm going to stay on the dual wield. I didn't put on the master staff. But what I have is the Grothar. I have 5 Julianas. And then I have 3 of the Architect for the Minor Slayer. Now, Infallible Ether also and Moon Dancers all will give the 3 sets to gain the Minor Slayer. So you don't have to worry about saying it's the best in slot because all 3 do the same thing. They each will give the Minor Slayer. That's kind of where you're wanting to go with that. Though the 2 bonus is slightly different, but for this one, I think it is. I have to take a look. But for this, I wanted the Minor Slayer. It's the 3-piece setup, right? So 3 jewelry of a trial set for the bonus of the Minor Slayer. And then, of course, your 5, you can go twice Born Star, Juliana's, whatever have you, and 2 monster pieces. Now, traditionally, we use Torok's Pack for Magicka users. The reason being because it gives us the extra spell damage. So the one thing I want to do this, I'm going to stack 2 precise here just for a second and show you guys the spell damage. I've crafted everything in gold. This way my critics can't say shit, right? All right, so here's the deal. I get 2,000, right, from precise. But you notice, the crit will go up because of the precise trait value. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to switch out the main for a Nirnholm. All right? Now, this is all the same, so except the infused. The infused, the base value is the same, but the proc for the enchant, now none of these are enchanted, would increase because of that factor. So a lot of people want to say we go with infused, and that's great when it procs. But this is another reason why I'm going to say with the Nirnholm here, because once I put just the main weapon, right? Doesn't have to be anything crazy. I'm getting a 200 jump. 200. Right, guys? This is why this is crazy. Because when you look at Scathing Mage on the proc, it gives like 516, I want to say, with gold. It's like 5 something with gold. I want to say max is 516 off the top of my head. You're only getting 516. Juliana's gives almost 300, right? Gold. It gives 299. You're getting an extra 200 with the Nirnholm. That's 500 without proc. Without a fucking proc, it's 500. That's crazy. That takes a set like Scathing Mage and it makes it shitball because it's a proc. It's a percentage 2 proc. This is consistent. This is upfront in your face. This is like there's no proc. It's right there. It's right there. And that's what always was nice about the 532 because it was a consistent amount of DPS. No matter what your 5 primary was, you knew you could increase with the Nirnholm. And a lot of us did that. Some people didn't when the whole sharpen thing came out because penetrating values and whatever, but they didn't understand overvalue. I'll get into that in another video I'm going to be doing here, what the value is for penetration for the lever. But this is what's crazy because if I go ahead, now let's say I add another Nirnholm, right? Let's just hypothetically say that. The second hand is adjusted. So even though the 15%, you're going to get an applied effect, it's only going to go up by 35 points, not 200. So even though it has 15%, we're going to see that drop, but to 235. So they did adjust the value of that. But the sword for the Twin Blade and Blunt passive also increases the damage of your base because of the passive in Twin Blade and Blunt, which I will go to. I switched my race around. Like I said, I'm playing around a lot in here. Testing stuff, going over a bunch of shit today. So each sword increases your damage done by 2.5. That's applied to your tooltip or to the damage. So there that is. But when we take a look at the character sheet, now this is another thing I wish they would have done in the character sheet. Put penetrating values down below here. This would be kind of nice right here, putting penetrating values. That's just a suggestion, but whatever. But 235. And now here's the deal, man. Even though I'm losing, technically speaking, I could go ahead and slot the infused and increase the proc and increase because I'm only losing 35 points. I'm only going to lose 35, but I'm going to get the proc from the infused. I have to test it, but ideally speaking, this could be applied on the second hand, so I wouldn't lose out. I would still get that applied effect. Now I have to test it, whatever. But the main thing is, if I put like, I don't know, like sharpen here, I could put sharpen. I could stay infused. It's still going to be 2,000. No matter what other trait I go with, it's always going to be 2,000. But if I put one Nirnholm as that main, that's 200. Flat out increasing the base value of my effects. Right? It doesn't even matter. And then for that is going to actually apply. If I double stack it with the Nirnholm, I'm getting more spell damage than even any set is going to provide, any drop set's going to provide, or weapon damage even for that fact. So for stamina users, depending on penetrating value, the weapon damage has always been a hindrance in comparison to drop sets, meaning there is no set that does 500 weapon damage proc like Scathing Mage. There's just nothing like that. The proc sets have always been dominant for magic users, but depending on penetrating value with your Mundus and all these other things, you could stack extra weapon damage. So because the weapon damage is applied as well. So this is crazy to me. It's kind of nuts to take a look and see and say to ourselves, okay, we could be looking at a reemergence of not only crafted sets, but of the original 532 setup. Because a double stack, even procced, I could go with a proc set, right? I could still do that. I could go with a crafted set, stack the Nirnholm on the primary, and do that and run a secondary. But another reason we're going to be taking a look at the 532, because the one thing I'm never going to give up on a switch out if I'm doing a double stack, so say if I'm running Julianus and Scathing Mage, my crit value is going to be present. If I switch out on a master, my crit value will drop, right? Because I'm running 2 crit sets when I switch out to a master staff. Because a master staff will decrease this critical value. Now that's to say if you don't go precise. Now if you go precise, you don't lose the value, and you can still do that. So even if you're going on the double stack and you keep the precise trait, you wouldn't lose the critical rating. But, or it would be a readjusted, but within margin. So you could go with even doing it in that way. But if you run any other trait, you're going to drop the critical rating considerably. This is why I'm thinking, now once again, I got to keep doing the test, but once everybody's like said, do this, do that with infused, do that with this trait, do that with that trait. But I'm telling you guys, Nirnhone with crafted set, depending on Mundus supplied, because I'm running Julianos. I don't have the Apprentice on. But with Julianos currently at 299, Nirnhone 200, and if I put an offset, I have more spell damage applied than any drop set currently is going to provide consistently without proc. There it is. It could happen. We could be looking at a reemergence of the 532. Not to say that it would be completely over-dominating a double stack, but if I want to test this out, I want to see if I can get the same the proc percentage off a second-hand proc on the infused weapon. If that's the case, if it's the case that the proc applies infused on the second hand, I'm telling you guys, that's a massive increase, because you can put increase to that and it would be completely overpowered as fuck, because you know those values would be applied. I don't know. But, yeah, I just kind of wanted to go over. We could see a reemergence of this. And once again, with people with Nirnhone, people are like, oh, you know, we're looking at 235 difference, guys, if I double stack it. If I take off the extra Nirnhone sword, I'm losing 35 points, right? You know, ideally speaking. So if I double hit this, I'm only losing 35 points. But on the main hand for Nirnhone, 200 spell and weapon damage. 200. And if people think that's insignificant, now if we are to believe, now hypothetically speaking, if we can believe that this infused will proc up the total amount, matter of fact, I'll do it right now. I'm actually curious as hell. Okay, we're going to I need a weapon enchant. Increase your weapon. Yep. Okay, 452. Okay, keep that in mind. Just going to go to the house of the target dummy and see if we can proc it up. If it'll proc it up. I'm kind of curious. I'm playing around, guys, a lot. I'm putting in different sets. I'm crafting different things. I'm taking a look. You know, I'm hitting this pretty hard. You know. Oh, by the way, I did make a huge mistake on my last video because of the critical strikes thing. I said it's more correspondent to the thief. It's more corresponds to the shadow because it does increase the passive. It increases the crit damage. So that's my bad. I'm not a too proud person. I'm not a proud person. So it is my mistake. But I did kind of explain to one person, we can see an indifferent variable between 15 to 25%. We can see an indifferent curve. And that remains true. But I mean, you can hit within those fine lines. So currently, we're looking at 220. I'm just going to do a weave and see if I can get it to proc up. Nope. Nope. Now let's see if I can do a damaging ability. 1 second. I don't even have my skills in here. I haven't been doing anything. I've like respected all this stuff. Okay. Going to more or less set this up. Oh, all right. $26, it does. I think, hold on. That might be, that should be a 420 drop. Bingo. There it is, guys. Yeah, so it's procking off the offhand for the full amount. So we're looking at that. The 452 was applied on the proc on the offhand. You could. This is crazy because we can pretty much set this to go ahead and once again capitalize on max the spell penetration. We can completely, once we get penetrating value up there, we run one Nirnhone and one Infuse. We can get the best of both worlds. It's done. To me, this is crazy. This is nuts. With this setup, we're going to see it. We're going to see the reemergence of the 532. Why? Because we can control the Nirnhone in the Taurox pack. We can't get any set to do that. Now, whether or not you're going to run Twiceborn Star or Julianos, that's debatable. Same thing with like Night Mothers, Huntings. All of these are fine issues. I'm still going to test, a lot of these other effects. I'll be doing just a quick 30-second video, probably a minute or two, giving up the penetrating values for the Lover. But yeah, guys, we're definitely probably going to see a 532 reemergence because we can control the Taurox pack for Magicka users. Now, this stands true for Magicka users. Whether or not a double stack is still going to be more beneficial for stamina, I have to test. I have to play with. But I knew this was going to, in theory, that this should work. This should completely be applied once everything's set up. And it does. So, yeah. This is how you're going to maximize. It's kind of sick, actually. It's kind of gross that this is coming back. It's going to make such a dramatic difference. But, yeah, I already know which direction I'm going in. Luckily, I have a lot of these sets, so a lot of this reconfiguring isn't going to be a problem for me. But, yeah, I hope this helps people. I hope. I'll probably have my trolls coming in, debating, or whatever the hell. But, once again, man, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please post below. Once again and always, thank you for watching, and have a nice day.